Welcome in and happy almost college baseball season. It's time for another edition of ACC Baseball Etc, presented as always by our friends at Pitch Logic. You might hear me say that and wonder, what is Pitch Logic? It's the system used by players, coaches, scouts, and instructors at all levels of play, from youth leagues to the big leagues. The easy-to-use and affordable technology makes the platform accessible to every player at every level. All the metrics, all the features used at the highest level. You can go to pitchlogic.com for more information. I'm Daron Vaught. Danny Graves is here. His good friend, our good friend, entering his second year as head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, JD Arteaga, is here with us. Batting leadoff. This is our preseasoning series where we talk to every ACC head coach prior to opening day. JD, great to see you. Hope you had a happy holidays and hope you're doing well.
Good to see you guys too, and happy New Year to everybody. And it's very nice to get. Always right after the New Year, it's baseball season's right around the corner, man. So it's exciting times.
It looks nice and sunny behind you there too, JD. I mean, it's cold everywhere else in the country, I think.
Nice. I think it's like 82 degrees today, nice and warm. All our guys are out in shorts and t-shirts, you know. So a little recruiting pitch there.
Nice, very good.
That wasn't planned either.
So, JD, you're entering year two. We obviously know you've been at Miami much longer than that. I believe in this interview before last season, we talked a lot about it being your first year, right? I can't imagine we didn't. Yeah. What do you anticipate the differences mainly will be between years 1 and 2 now that you're more settled in?
First thing that's going to change, I mean, obviously the biggest difference will be our roster. I mean, we only have 6 returning players from our roster from a year ago, 2 pitchers and 4 hitters. So that's going to be the first big change, I guess, the difference we're going to have. So other than that, it's you know, going about things a little differently. You know, you live and you learn, and then you make adjustments, and some things work, some didn't. Obviously, staying healthy is a big part of the whole thing, right? And there's not much you can do to control that. We do our best, but at the end of the day, it's part of the game. But there's a lot of little things, just starting with our fall season this year. You know, all our practices were in the mornings. We moved all our classes to the afternoon. Danny, you know what I'm talking about, but the weather here early in the fall is not great with the rain and the storms and the lightning alarms and stuff like that. So we started our days at 8 a.m. We're on the field sometimes at 7 a.m. and classes. The first class for anybody was at 2 p.m. So all our baseball stuff was done by 1:30, and the guys seemed to love it. Obviously in the spring we go back to a conventional schedule where we got our classes in the morning because of our night games. But that was the first big change for us. Was kind of our practice schedule in the fall.
So that is interesting because now I could blame it on the weather for me not going to class. I love that strategy, JD. hopefully nobody's using that excuse.
No, actually, you know what? I don't know. Our team GPA this semester was the highest it's ever been. It was a 3.23. So
awesome.
It was. It's pretty impressive. Now a lot of that has to do with our roster being an older veteran roster that they kind of get it already, right? We're not fighting freshmen, trying to getting them out of bed for the first time on their own and things like that. So I think we got about 6 or 7 grad students, which, you know, grad school GPA is naturally going to be a lot higher. But it was the highest GPA for a semester we've had here in a very, very long time.
So speaking of roster, you mentioned the 6 returning guys. That's kind of unheard of, right? Like I know this day and age in the NIL and the transfer portal, guys lose a lot of their rosters. Managers use a lot of their rosters before the season even starts. Did you expect to only have 6 guys coming back?
Not only sorry. I didn't expect only 6. I knew there was going to be a change and some new guys coming in, some guys going out. But it's you're going to see it more and more. I don't know, just 6 returners, but you're going to see the turnover in rosters in college sports in general. It's bigger than it's ever been. It's going to continue to be that way, I guess, as long as the rules are what they are. It's funny talking to some of the other coaches this summer. It's not so much about, you know, building a program. You almost have to rebuild a roster every year, depending on who you lose and stuff like that. And it's natural. If you have an older team, you're going to lose them to the draft or the graduation. So you got to replace those guys. It has nothing to do with the portal. The older your team is, the more guys you're going to have to replace just because of guys leaving because of eligibility or the draft. So in our case, next year, because we're going to lose so many guys for that, this will be the same. We're going to have the same type of summer.
Yeah. Yeah. So 15 transfers, is that number correct, right? Or somewhere in that range. I saw some of your staff out at USA Baseball in Cary over the summer, and the talk with them was that you guys are really pleased with the haul of players that you brought in. What's the dynamic with those 15? Because they're not all from ACC schools, right? Transferring interconference or intra-conference in that regard. They're not all from established places where they would be sort of known commodities in the college baseball world.
It's not, and especially in the history of our roster, right? It's most of our roster has been historically from South Florida, I-4 South, right? We got 3 guys on our roster this season from the state of South Carolina. I mean, I don't think we ever had one. Now we got 3 this year. We got guys from Oregon and guys that played in Hawaii, and a little bit of everything. They're from all over the place. I think that's kind of helped them kind of bond and get closer quicker this fall coming into a new city. So. But it's been a fun group to work with. They've gotten along great. The team chemistry is great. Again, it's easy. That's the easy part in the fall, right? Come February 14th, and the first lineup goes up. That's when you're going to test, the loyalty of some of these guys and how happy they are and stuff like that. So it's really natural. But so far, right now, what we have, and this is a team that hangs out together, just as much off the field as they do on the field. That's always a good sign.
So the team last year, were they the type of team that did hang out a lot away from the field, or were they kind of to themselves?
They were, again, kind of to themselves. Like everything else, you kind of find out after the fact, right?
Yeah.
And you got a player like Daron Gonzalez that's been here for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And with about 2 weeks into the fall, his comments are that this team's different. I've never been a part of a team like this that does so many things off the field together, and as former athletes and been around a lot of teams, that's the first step of having a good, tight, locker room. The more time you spend off the field together, the better. So, and this team has that.
When you guys sought out to this transfer portal world in this particular offseason, really something that got started as soon as last spring ended for your team, I'm sure. What were some things that you identified as, okay, these are the bullet points, these are the starting points in terms of qualities of the type of player that we want to bring in to be a Hurricane?
Well, first thing that we're looking for is performance on the field, right? Not so much the metrics of velocity and exit speed and how fast they are and things like that. That's something that when you look at a high school player, you kind of look at the long-term development and what you have to work with. When you're looking at the portal, at least the way we looked at it was we're looking for guys that are performers already and looking to move up to a higher level and prove themselves at a higher level. That's something that we targeted from day one. There was a lot of big names out there that, like I said, we didn't land or anything. They chose to go other places, but we feel that the guys that we went after, and it started way before that. Like you said, it started way before the end of the spring. I mean, we're tracking pretty much every player in the country from opening day last year. We have a great analytics staff that built a program and that followed these guys and it measured not just stats, but the league that they're doing it in, the competition, and weighted it all together. And we had our guys in there as well, and see where they kind of graded out and where they fell. And when you have some of our guys, our top performers up there with some of the other guys in the country, we were kind of looking for that same type of player. So we're using our players that we had to measure the other guys with. And we felt that we landed a lot of the guys that we were looking for.
Okay, so as somebody who hasn't followed college baseball until this very day since the offseason, give us a couple big names that you have that we need to keep an eye out on.
I mean, guys that we're very high on that we feel that now start with your former role, right? Our closer, Jackson Cleveland. He's a guy that at Lamar last year just put up really good numbers. And the metrics came into play as well. And I don't know if you've seen some of my interviews, Danny, but I had to compare him to you a little bit. And just his mound presence on the mound and the way he looks, the way he goes about his business, it really reminded me a lot of you. And again, it's a guy that we thought he's first year as a full-time pitcher. He was a two-way guy last year at Lamar. And just in one fall where he's just concentrating on pitching, you've seen a big jump on it, in him already, stuff-wise. And breaking ball wise, and just his makeup and his attitude, his mound presence, it's exactly what you're looking for in a closer. And then you got guys, other guys that Griffin Hugas at Cincinnati, that's somewhat of a local guy. He was at a West Palm, Wellington, Cardinal Newman High School, but at Cincinnati, he had a really good, season last year, and he went to the Cape and really turned it on at the end. Really, after he committed to us, he turned it on and finished up with a really strong season. I think they lost in the championship in the finals in the Cape. There was a big reason for it. Carrying him there. So, that right there is two arms that we needed. Our pitching was down last year, and two older guys that we're looking to replace. That those are two big gets for us, we feel, on the mound. And there's a bunch of others. I mean, Alex Juro from University of Hawaii. You count on him doing a lot of things for us this year. Rob Evans, left-handed pitcher from Georgia State. The guy that was having a great season last year, and about a month into it, he had an injury that he had surgery for that, kind of a freak broken bone type thing, and it wasn't a soft tissue injury. But we expect big things out of him as well. And then you got the couple of returning guys, the two arms we do have returning. Brian Walters was great for us last year in a limited role because he was coming off of Tommy John surgery. We knew he needed surgery for the nerve replacement or nerve, I forget what they call it, just move the nerve, from one groove to the next. Yeah. We knew his rehab was going to be 8 weeks, so we kind of counted backwards and said, okay, what's the last day he can pitch, and give him a full 8 weeks of rehab so you can have a full fall and work on a third pitch to be a starter. So that gave him right before the ACC tournament. That was his date. So we had surgery right before the ACC tournament. Of course, we were one game away from going to the championship game against Florida State, and who knows what happens in one game. Had we had him available, it might have been a different story. We might have been, got to the championship game and maybe snuck into the NCAA tournament. So, and then, by far the biggest surprise last year and biggest jump that we've had this year in the offseason. Always been a really hard worker, but Nick Roberts come back and was really out of position last year. We asked him to be our closer / setup man and just late game guy. But his stuff is more of a contact type guy that, for a closer doesn't really fit the role, but he was the best option we had. But he's come back and really worked hard, gotten bigger, stronger, which is, it's tough to say, gotten bigger, stronger. He's already a big guy at, 6'6", 235, but his breaking ball is it's a different breaking ball now, and now he's got that really good sting because he's pitching at 93, 95 instead of just touching it from time to time. But he's a guy you're looking at probably being a Friday, Saturday type starter for us this year.
So there's one name that I've got on my list here to obviously ask about that you did not mention, who returns for his sophomore season, Daniel Cuvée, freshman All-American a season ago.
We just went over pitching there.
Yeah, who cares about the hitters?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to care about Cuvée in year number 2, right? JD, we talk about maybe your growth as a head coach from year 1 to year 2. I'm interested to hear your observations about Cuvé's growth from year 1 into, the beginning of spring number 2 with the Hurricanes.
Well, I said it all along last season. The thing about Cuvée is he's a student of the game. He grew every day, like from first day of fall to the last game in the spring. He got better every day, and he's a guy that if anyone on the team is having a learning moment, Cuvé's not far away and listening to and learning from that experience, And it's something I preach, learn from other people's mistakes. And he really takes it to heart. And he's always studying the game. He knows what his weaknesses are, what his strengths are, and stuff like that. And he's put a lot of time into a lot of his weaknesses, and his strengths are his strengths. They're always going to be his strengths. But he's learning how to become a more well-rounded player and working on some of those things that he needs to work on to get better and be the player that he wants to be. He's going to be the hitter that he wants to be. But to get to where he wants to be and have the career that he wants, defensively, he's going to have to get better and base running and all the little things that come with it, with the game of baseball. But he's a great student of the game. He asks really, really good questions. There's always meaning behind it, not just asking questions to ask questions. They're really good questions. They test you as a coach of your knowledge of why you're doing things. And that's why his growth he's going to continue to grow every day, just like he did all last season.
Has he loosened up a little bit? I feel on the field he's very loose. He's as cool as they come. He rakes. He does all that he needs to do. But when we talk to him off the field, interviews, he's like dead serious. I don't want to make this guy mad.
I don't think that he gets out of character when you guys come around, right? He gets a little too serious because he does enjoy playing the game. I don't say he's not a robot out there just going about his business. He does have fun. He enjoys being at practice. He enjoys learning. Enjoys working. But I guess when you put him in this environment, it's showtime, right? The lights are on. He's got to be. I think he'll learn. He's done more than enough interviews and TV appearances where I think you're going to notice a better, more polished guy in front of the camera this year.
Yeah, he should get used to it because he's going to be asked a lot to talk.
Yeah.
But tell him we're cool, JD. I mean, there's not many other cool guys that you know in this business.
No, not too many. Not too many. You guys hang around a little more, not just behind the camera. Hanging around more at the games on the field, the BP and stuff like that.
Yes.
What were your impressions of how he felt about his experience with Team USA over the summer? I'm sure by the sounds of it, he's the type of guy to get in that environment and use the other great players around him at his disposal and pick some things up.
He did, and he'll be the first to tell you his numbers weren't very impressive, not very Cuvée-like. But he'll be the first to tell you I did not have a good 2 weeks or whatever it was that that he was there. But he's gonna be better for it. I can tell you that. He knows what he has something else to work on. He understands what he's got to get better at, and he's gonna get better because of it. But it was a great experience, like you said. The people he's hanging around with and rubbing elbows with and talking to and learning from and teaching, and because he's almost we got to tell him, hey, quit coaching the other hitters because you're asking to do things that they can't do. Not everybody can do what you do, and that's usually true for the great players. There's certain things they do physically that no one else in the field can do. He starts to teach them how he's doing it. We're gonna have problems, but he's always a guy that's teaching and learning and getting better every day.
So going back to the 6 guys returning, Dorian Gonzalez Jr. obviously is the veteran guy.
Yep.
I would imagine that he is the leader on the team, but is it hard for anybody else to step up just not being around the program like he has?
I don't know if it's hard, Danny, because leaders are you remember the team captains my freshman year, and Fernando Ruiz didn't have many innings pitched under his belt as a team captain, but he just had that leadership quality about him. Tanner Smith, our catcher that came in, the senior catcher, he has those type of leadership roles, and just he's not loud, but when he speaks, they kind of listen, and exactly what you want out of your catcher. So there's guys like that. Cuvée is a guy that the rest of the players are going to look up to because of what he's done on the field. But it's just a good group. It's a very good group. Rob Evans didn't do much on the field this fall, but was very vocal and just a great teammate and a guy that a lot of the guys have already he's earned their respect already in a short period of time. So.
Let's make our way to the other guys in the position group. Sifting through the names of some of these transfers, there's one in particular I want to ask you about because D1 Baseball streamed the Jacksonville College Baseball Classic at the beginning of last season, and we'll stream it again this year. But Wichita State played in that tournament. And I got a look with Kyle Peterson. He and I were on the call. We saw what Wichita and saw Derek Williams, who led that team in home runs, a really impressive player who seems to me like is a good fit for what you guys are building, especially with sort of the mixing and matching of guys. What's he been like?
The perfect, clubhouse guy, perfect, locker room guy, and on the field he's got the work ethic of a walk-on, and he hits a ground ball to second base. He's trying to run a 4-0 down the line, and he's got some physical ability. I mean, he's from our homework. He seems like he's gonna be somewhat of a streaky hitter, but when he's hot, he's gonna be hot and be very dangerous. And that's kind of what we saw this fall. But great work ethic, great attitude, great teammate, and enough tools to be successful in our league. So we're excited about him. A guy that probably defensively was the biggest question mark for us. And again, because of his work ethic, he's just got better and better every day. And he should be. I'd be surprised if he's not in the starting lineup somewhere in one of the corner spots.
Yeah. Have the players come back from break yet, or when do you guys start up?
Well, we start up officially next Monday, but we asked if they could to be back this week, and they're all here.
That means they better be back.
Well, that outfield, staying with that position group, is a bit loaded for you guys. No, I mean you're going to have some difficult decisions to make when it comes time to etch in a starting lineup.
We are. That's for sure the most crowded, place on the field in the roster. And we got some a mix of older guys and young guys. A guy like Max Gowan, which did not play in Oklahoma State last year, but is somewhat of a local guy. He came from Texas, played at the Miami-Dade Community College for 2 years, but he went out to the Northwoods League and had the best numbers I've ever seen in a summer league. I mean, he had, I think it was 90 RBIs and 15 or 16 home runs at 400. And the guy that committed to us rather early in summer, but he stayed there. And as we know, that's a very long season. And he stayed there and had a great summer. We got a couple freshmen, one in particular that defensively, there's no doubt in my mind he's ready to play. Michael Torres, whether or not he hits enough, that's he's going to get. I think he needs to understand what type of hitter he is and have some of the small ball bunting and stuff like that and bring that into play. But he runs well enough. He might be our best left-handed pitcher, but we're not going to let him pitch. But he's got a great arm and really tackle down. Just a natural center fielder. And he's one of those guys when he goes after a ball and he's not watching the ball as he's running. He puts his head down, he runs to the spot, and he gets there. I don't know how, but he's just a great natural outfielder there. So. Along with him, we got other options. We're good when we got a 3-year starter did not make the team out of the fall. Edgar Villegas did not make our team out of the fall, and he started for us for 3 years. And the message at the end of the season last year is if you come back the same player you are this year, you're not going to make our team because we're going to be better next year. And we felt that he didn't get any better, and some of the guys that we had were. And we had to make some cuts, unfortunately, and he did not make the team. So that should tell you a little bit about how crowded our outfield is. Jake Kulikowski comes back as a sophomore. Fabio Peralta is the other freshman outfield that can really just absolutely go get it and throw it. And then again, similar to Mikey Torres, the offensive side is what's going to separate him and determine how much playing time he's going to get. But Gabby Gutierrez is back, a guy that doesn't do anything he's not very sexy at anything he does, but does everything good. And defensively, he's one of our better outfielders. So at the very least, he's a guy that's going to come in late in games and get out there and play some. So Todd Hudson is another one. He's a big, 6'6", left-handed hitter, right-handed thrower that pitched last year. He was a two-way guy. Was a DH and the Saturday or Sunday starter. He's the opposite of Jackson Cleveland, right? Where he's not pitching anymore. He's just hitting. He had a great fall for us for first base in the outfield. It's a left-handed hitter that his power is to the left side, and at our park, the ball just it really carries to left field very well. So it really plays into his swing and his power. So there's a lot of options out there.
Man,
yeah, it's kind of a good problem to have, obviously, right? Like, I mean, a lot to choose from.
Always good. The challenge there, right, is keeping everybody happy and keeping everybody, kind of pulling on the same side of the rope type thing.
Well, the good thing about this, JD, is I didn't realize Villegas, but I mean, that kind of sends a message that you guys are serious. If you're not going to work hard to play, then you're not going to be here to play.
No, we got to get better. And if you're staying the same, then you're going to get left behind. So.
Yeah. So I'm not going to let you go with that. Sorry, Daron, if I'm like jumping in too much, but
no, you're good.
I'm not going to let you just like skirt away from Michael Torres having the best arm as a lefty on the team. And you just kind of like got serious after that, like thinking I was going to forget it. Why isn't he pitching then?
Because late in the game, if he's pitching late in the game, we're going to want him in center field.
Okay.
He's a special defensive player. He really is. And to the point where he kind of drives me crazy a little bit. He gets a little too nonchalant. It makes things look a little too pretty. But he's one of those outfielders, Dan. If he's running full speed, that's the only time you worry. If he's not going full speed, he's got it. But if he's going, then he might not get to that one. I mean, he's not going to, but he might not. But anything else, he's got it.
That sounds a little bit to me like I used to get frustrated with watching Andrew Jones, who obviously was a phenomenal center fielder, but it was just like, he would kind of turn in a certain way to make it look maybe tougher than it was, just because he could, right? I
tell Mike, one day you're gonna drop one. I'm gonna be really pissed.
Yeah,
do everything right and drop it. That's okay, but when you're making it look pretty, you drop it. We're gonna have a problem.
Well, Bobby Cox had no problem taking Andrew Jones out of the game when he dropped one either. But I mean, that's nice though. Cruise control is what he basically was in. It seemed like.
Yeah, that's how Mikey plays in the outfield, man. So, like I said, if he's going hard after, then you got to worry.
Is there ever a chance that he might get on the mound, or do we just have to wish to see his arm from the outfield?
Never say never. Never say never.
All right. All right.
JD, what else about this team excites you heading into this spring? I mean, we've talked about sort of the identity, the leaders, the baseball specific stuff.
The pitching depth is you look at it, I guess a team you can compare them to is kind of the way Duke was last year. They just ran quality arm after quality arm, and again, it's not just and Duke wasn't this year. It's not just a run out 95, 98 mile an hour guys. It's guys with good stuff with plus pitchability. So it's exciting. It's the game's not going to get too long on us. We got plenty of options, especially from the right side. And I'm not even sure who the rotation is going to be, but a lot of guys that don't make the rotation are going to be really, really good bullpen pieces for us. So it's just exciting. Again, if we stay healthy, it should be a great year for us.
And managing those egos, just to circle back on something right, it's human nature. We've all got.
I think that's the beauty of it, right? I don't think there's the egos. These weren't like highly touted high school, perfect game, high ranked that went to Power 5 schools. It's just guys that are actually here to prove that they are good enough. That what they did at their former schools, it wasn't because of their competition they're playing against. It's because they're good, right? And that's what they're here for, and that's exactly what we're going after, those mid-major performers that are looking to prove themselves on a bigger stage. So it's exciting to see what they can do.
Yeah.
So is there a goal set for the team yet? As far as I know, when we were together, it was not a conference, so the goal was this here. Just
that hasn't changed here.
Okay.
I know we see a long time, and that's always been our goal here. We don't have the years that we go to regionals, the years that we ACC, whatever it might be. It's we got four dates up on our wall here. It's 4 national championship dates. So even just going to Omaha, it's still considered a good year, not a great one. We've had 4 great years here in Miami. That's not going to change. That's never going to change as long as I'm here, and I hope it never does. But that's our goal always is to win in Omaha.
Yeah, for those listening and not watching, also, Danny pointed at his hat that says Omaha there. So being the main goal, the College World Series. Yeah. JD, before we let you go, I think you're aware of this. We do a thing on this show when Danny and I are together called Hall of Name. And I just name a former teammate of Danny's from somewhere down the line, whether it be professional ball, Team USA, they're at Miami, whatever. Can I put you on the spot to offer up a name of a former teammate of his that will provoke? Because the idea is I name the teammate and he just gives me the first thing on his mind, right? Like word vomit, whatever it is. Okay, so you've got one, a teammate that will evoke a great something out of Danny.
He's nervous. Look, he's already nervous.
I'm shaking in my boots. I can't sit still.
At this, he's not going to be able to tell any stories about him, but I'm going to throw it at him anyway. It's going to have to be Mike Metcalf.
Oh, my gosh. How did I just know that was going to happen? Obviously, there's stories of 23W. That was our apartment number there on campus. Lots of festivities in that apartment. But I can't say a lot of the things that come to mind with Mike Metcalf, but I can't say he's probably the fastest dude that I've ever seen on the base paths. Like, I don't know how he did it because he really didn't look very athletic. He looked like a little schoolboy nerd who had no business playing baseball. But let me tell you, one of the better shortstops that I've seen, especially at the college level. But like I said, to be as fast as he was, if he could just put the ball in play, we knew he was safe, and we knew he was stealing a base, sometimes 2 bases at a time. But all that's, if anybody knows Mike Metcalf, that's a very boring word vomit that I just gave.
I was going to say, and JD, I might need your help here. Like, there's got to be something that at least was like teetering on the line of appropriate. You got to give me more than that, Gravy. Come on.
Really, I don't think there is.
No, there was no borderline with him. Seriously, there's no borderline. Well, maybe I could say one thing. Okay.
You can. I believe in you.
So, we were big tobacco guys back then. Getting into college, we think we're cool. We're all doing Copenhagen and dipping, and it was the thing to do. Well, Metcalf never would buy his own can of dip. He would always get dip from everybody else. So we dared him to dip a piece of poop, like feces, because we didn't want to give,
Stop. No.
No, I'm serious. And he
made a story to come up with for Mike, by the way.
he put a piece of feces in his lip and dipped it. I don't remember how long he dipped it for, but he did it. And we paid him like $20. And that $20 was a lot.
Not Mike. Danny got sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so bad. That's about as far as I can go with the Mike Metcalf story.
I love, my imagination is running wild because that's the one you deemed, okay, this is maybe somewhat appropriate. What else happened?
Yeah, that's very inappropriate, but that was probably the most appropriate I could get with Metcalf. JD knows.
I
think it's more incriminating than anything. You might want to,
not bring up that name because I knew what it was going to cause, but I had to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's got to be a statute of limitations on some of those things that happened.
He wouldn't do that now. We're just going to clarify. There's no chance he would do that now.
No. I hope not. You never know. I mean,
all right. Well, I think that was worth it, making the ask of JD. JD, appreciate you getting us started on our preseasoning series. We are, at the time of recording this, I believe 39 days away from opening day. It cannot come soon enough. I'm excited to see your new look Hurricanes, and I know Danny is as well. Thanks so much for the time here on ACC Baseball Etc.
Thank you guys, man. Appreciate it. Fun times.
Thanks, JD.